Hi everybody. Today in the post I received some Monstera Thai Constellations tissue culture plantlets. I got 2 of them. They came from Perth. Before that they came from overseas. And they come in these little baggies. And they're lovely little plantlets. They look relatively healthy. So I'm going to document my experience with them, hopefully my experience of growing them into fully mature plants. And I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride. This is the first time I've had tissue cultured plants, so it's going to be a learning experience for me, and we'll see how we go. I'm very excited though. So the first thing we need to do is we need to organize the receptacle for where we're going to actually put these little babies in to start growing. So what I've got here is I've got my little domed bowl that I use for propagating. It closes off and locks so that it's nice and humid inside, keeps all the humidity in, and hopefully the bugs out. The other thing that I have done is I have pre-moistened some sphagnum moss and put some perlite in it. And I'm going to use this as my growing medium for the first little while. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this into my little bowl here. So I'm going to loosely pack it in because I want the roots, such as they are, to be able to grow up and around through the sphagnum moss. And this is slightly damp. I soaked it and then I wrung it out really well, and then I've just had it sitting, and I did it in quite warm water as well to try and get rid of any bugs. I didn't microwave it or anything, but I did try and do as much as I could to make it sure that it was nice and clean, because the plantlets have been growing in a sterile medium up until now. And I certainly don't want them to get infected with anything if I can help it. So I'm just going to put them down like that for now. So there's a nice base there that they can go into. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I've got here a little glass of water to which I've added a little bit of hydrogen peroxide solution. I've been told to do this in order to try and keep the plants as sterile as possible and get rid of anything on them that may be a bit damaging. So I'm going to cut open the first baggie here, and then I'm going to take my little plantlet out. And this is the first time I would think that it's been exposed to the air to air that is not sterile. So hopefully it's not going to freak out on me. So I'm just going to dip it into this solution a little bit and just leave it in there for a minute or two. They did say to be careful that there wasn't any agar solution left on the roots, but I think in this case they've pretty much washed them off, so I think I'm pretty safe there. So I'm just going to leave that in there for a minute or two just to soak, and I'll fast forward over this bit. We don't want to damage the little roots. Just leave that there for a minute or two. Get the leaves wet as well. The roots look really healthy. Maybe I won't fast forward just yet because the roots look so healthy. They're nice and thick. They've got white tips on them, which is great for them to start growing off and becoming really healthy little plantlets. So I'm very pleased. Let me get my second one. My second one, the roots are much bigger, as you can see. And the variegation on these looks pretty already, so I'm very excited. I don't have a Monstera Thai Constellation at all. I've been wanting one for a while, but they're very expensive still in Sydney, which is where I'm based. So let's get this little guy out, and this guy's got a growing tip as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 leaves. We've got a big long root. Look at the size of that root. So that's a really healthy root. And we've got a new leaf coming out here as well, so hopefully the new leaf won't die off, seeing as it's had a bit of a shock, this poor little guy. because he's been taken out of his nice agar solution and put into, oh no, one of the roots came off. Well, that is a risk whenever you are fooling around with plants and roots, so that's okay. I'll survive, he'll survive hopefully, or she'll survive. It's very pretty. I like the variegation. That's a half moon leaf there. Fingers crossed it'll be alright. Let's get this one out. And we're just going to lay this one flat on there, prop it up a bit, and we shall put a little bit of, while that's like that, I'm going to pop this one in the water for a minute or two. There we go. And we'll just dunk that. There we are. Don't want to damage you, so we'll just leave you in there for a minute while we take this one. I'm just going to put a little bit of sphagnum moss around and on top of these roots so that it will stand up on its own. There we go. And I'm hoping that the sphagnum moss is going to have enough moisture in it to keep these guys going for a little while, especially when I put the dome on. And I'm not putting any food in with them yet. I'll do that in maybe a week or so if needs be. But for the moment, I'm just going to leave it like that, standing up by itself now, as you can see. And so we will leave it. Let's take this one and we'll just squizzle it around a little bit. See what we can do at getting the leaves a bit wet. So, yes, Oliver, I've got new plants, haven't I? It's my cat. He wants some food. It's time for dinner in the Dwyer household. So we'll just leave this for a little bit longer. Let's take him out now. I have a feeling that this leaf that's coming out, it's got a little dent in the tip, so even if it does come out, I think the tip will be broken a bit, but that's okay. I will take that and be happy with it. So I'm going to place this one, let's see if you can see. I'm going to place this one around and then into the moss like that, and then we will cover it up. So get a little bit of this and we'll put it in the middle there. Now, everything I've read has said that the little leaflets can't touch the sides of the receptacle they're in, and they can't touch the ceiling of it, the roof of it, which I don't think I'll have a problem with here. And I have very successfully grown other plants in this little dome. I've grown little cormlets of alocasias in here, etc., without too much of a problem. The roots seem to grow really healthily. But with these ones, I've been reading that they're basically will have been growing in a low light area. So if they get too much light, so you don't want to put them under a grow light immediately. So I'm going to put them into just my normal household area. I'll put them in a slightly warmer spot with no breezes or anything. And fingers crossed, they will grow and be healthy. So this is the plantlets. There they are, very pretty. And we will see how much they grow over the next weeks and months. Fingers crossed, they survive and will be happy and healthy for me. I'm going to put the top on now, and once the top goes on, that should be it for a little while. So, it's not completely sterile in there, but hopefully they will be okay, and they will be happy little chappies and grow for me. So, oops, hang on a second, I'm just going to, don't want any of the leaves to have anything on them. And I just noticed that this little leaf here has a little bit of sphagnum which is just stuck to it. So We don't want that to be the case. So let me double check that I've got all the bits off. Yep, there's a little bit there as well. After all, we do want these to survive and grow. And I want my first time dealing with this to be successful. So there we are. Pop it back on. There we go. This little dome, by the way, was originally a receptacle for, I think, Easter eggs or something, chocolates, some sort of thing. And the chocolates I wasn't that interested in, but this little dome, I thought to myself instantly, ooh, that's a really good little propagation box. So I've been using it ever since. Okay, there we go. Fingers crossed. Very exciting.